Hey YouTube, hey Twitter, if you're watching this on Twitter. Here's an update for you. It's the end of May in Jacksonville, Florida, in Zone 9A, and I thought I would walk through the observation hive and where we are right now, just to create a bookmark in time, look back on in the years in the future, and to kind of just remember where the bees in Zone 9A are right about now from the observation hive, with a couple other little tips and lessons in here perhaps about how to maintain your own hives with regards to bee space and the things that the bees do with additional space. So as you look at this hive right now, first of all, I do want to say it's a little bit rainy and cloudy out. We have some tropical weather kind of up off the coast of Georgia and South Carolina right now that's pushing a lot of clouds and some, light north rain, a little bit of tropical drizzle. So it's not a great bee day. The bees are not out flying. That being said, look at how full the hive is. This observation hive, if you remember, swarmed in the spring. This queen was born on the 15th of March. So this is what this observation hive has done with an entire queen replacement cycle and build back up in addition to the nectar flow. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is look at all this capped honey. Capped honey here, and on the other side, I'm just gonna quickly switch it over for you. Look at these beautiful white wax cappings up here, pure capped honey. Now, what you'll notice here is this little cluster of bees here in the middle. This is where there is brood that was started in the honey frames. So after the queen swarmed and the new queen got mated in mid-March, this was all open cell. You can go back and look at the previous videos if you like. And that new virgin queen, after she was mated, started laying wherever there was open cells. She put a nice little patch in here that is now brood. And in this side over here, there's a very similar pattern here. Now, what is very good to see in an observation hive here that we don't always get to see in our hives is this cap that is created here at the top of this hive. Here and here. And if you ever wonder, what kind of keeps a queen constrained, maybe why she's not going up in your hives and things like that, this is called a honey cap. Sometimes if she can't lay up in here, she won't continue to go up. So if you do like a box reversal, if you use double deeps in the early spring, and if you have a honey cap right here and she's laying down below, she may never work her way up into the second story of your double deep after a rotation because of a honey cap that may be present. So that's just what a honey cap looks like. It's a nice thick band of honey above a brood nest. Typically you'll find honey in areas like this, in the corners of the hive, and here just to the left of my oxalic acid mite strip here, there's a whole band over here. I've got a whole video on these extended release oxalic acid strips. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on them. I am 100% sold on them. It's a little non-standard, but I'm at 1% mite counts in my entire apiary, leaving these in the hive full time. Okay, so two other things I kind of want to talk about. First of all, drone brood is still being created. It's a little hard to see today because of the pack of the bees, but there's a section of drone comb here. There's a little section of drone comb on the bottom, and there's another section of drone comb, I believe, right here in the middle here. Now, we are only getting to see 2/3 of this hive. This is a 2-frame wide by 3-frame high hive. So there's an entire middle layer that they could be raising drone brood, storing honey, or raising brood also, that I think is important to realize. This is 2 out of 3 sections in here. Now, with all of these bees, this hive may swarm again. Now, we're getting to see all of them in the hive. They're not doing any festooning, but with a colony that is this densely populated, with all of the brood that this queen is currently laying, this may have an opportunity to swarm again. So I always am looking for swarm cells, seeing if they're drawing anything on the bottom of the frames like we saw earlier in February when we were watching this hive swarm out, but I haven't seen anything like that yet. I do want to show you there's a little hive beetle right here that's kind of found a protected spot from the bees right next to my beetle trap up here. So now I want to talk a little bit about bee space. And when I put this hive together, you may notice right here on the glass, I've got the frame very, very close. When I put it back together, I pushed it a little too far to this side. And what that did is on this side, you can see I've got a little bit more, probably around a ½ an inch, maybe just a little shy of that 7/16 of an inch between the glass and that frame right there. Over here, it's a little closer, but here it's a little pushed far back. which is too much bee space. And what they ended up doing is creating this burr comb and sticking honey on it. So that's just a good example of what bees do with too little or too much space. If you give them a little too much, they're gonna start another layer and the bee space will be perfect on the other side of this comb between that frame. I thought it was just a really interesting thing on how you can visualize in an observation hive how the utilization of bee space when you give them too much room, and that allows that burr comb to be created. Up here you can see I got much closer to the correct bee space, and they very perfectly capped that honey, and the bees are just barely able to walk in between there, and that is just the right amount of bee space. So I think that it was a mistake, but I think it also created a very important lesson. Now with these oxalic acid strips, you can also see how it is changing the cluster of the nest where the queen is laying. On this side of the oxalic acid, they've got honey all the way down on here, so you can see the queen isn't crossing this boundary to lay over here so much, so they're using that space for honey. Same exact thing with this oxalic acid strip. Look, a perfect brood nest here. She's just not crossing this boundary so much to lay over here, so they went ahead and stuffed and capped honey in there a little bit in a non-standard way. If that strip was not in there, I imagine the brood nest would have been structured a little bit more typically like this, a middle frame here, or perhaps even a little bit like this. Typically they put honey up at the top or in the top corners of each frame, but that's what we see here. So here we are, and I'll just look at my watch. We're May 26th. That should be on the bottom of this video also. In the observation hive on a rainy day, very populated. Everything is looking good. The honey flow is obviously on, and this frame is already bulked out and capped out with honey from what we can see through the glass. And the observation hive looks like it's doing really, really good. I hope you enjoy this content. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or thoughts or something you want to share, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.